So,
And
this is Sebastian D'Amico.
and in 2013, then we started this new things of applying geophysics tools and what we actually apply in several earth science domain to cultural heritage. And we now have built a quite large laboratory. So everything kicked off and started with a cost action, actually. And we serve the country, the international community in general, and then thanks to that, we were able to apply to some other funds and attract, a couple of million euros just to purchase and to enlarge the laboratories. So good experience overall.
Okay, thank you very much. So we'll see what's next. Janet, maybe you can guide us.
No, I think Jane, I'll send you a message. I think we should continue until about 5 to 12, and then I'll take over. So I don't disrupt the final
Okay,
discussion.
okay.
So
So
Jane,
I'll leave the floor to you so that you can actually give us an overview of your role in the cost, and then we'll.
Very good. So, and my name is Jean. So my background, so I started off my career as a medical doctor and specializing in obstetrics and gynecology. So I spent 20 years working at hospital, I mean, with a regular role, but always in the field of obstetrics and gynecology. So treating women either as they get pregnant or to cancer related or anything to do with female health, I mean, under the field of obstetrics and gynecology. So the time when then I entered university, so I entered university a bit late in my life, so I went to academia a bit late in my life. So this was about 5 years ago. And at that point, that is where I came across Janet, who I knew from my clinical years, and she basically introduced me to the course. And I must admit that really helped me integrate very well with the academic world. Because, I mean, as you probably realize, when you work all your life, I mean, 20 years of your life, just doing shifts, 24-hour shifts, every 4 days, and most of the time you work in hospital and then you go home to sleep. You don't really have much of academia. During those years, I had managed to fit in a PhD, but then, again, to help with the clinical aspect. But then when I entered into academia, it was, I had to start from scratch, even though I had a PhD. So cost really, I think, opened up, it was like, how could I say, a springboard in the world of academia. And especially when it came to networking outside of your field. Because, okay, I know the obstetricians and gynecologists within the country and within the places where I work, but definitely not much outside of the field. And like many others, I started off first by being a working group participant, and then eventually in another post-section I was an MC, and then in the next post-section I was a working group lead. And then at one point, because apparently there aren't many obstetricians and gynecologists who are part of the expert pool, I had been asked actually to review a proposal which had to do also with female health. So, and again, those are opportunities thanks to cost. And eventually, the opportunity came along to actually have a cost section dedicated to female health, especially to rare gynecological cancers. And again, there's another story of how I ended up being a cost lead, but that will be left for another time. But so the cost section that I coordinate, so I'm chair, is called European Network of Gynecological Rare Cancer Research from Concept to Cure. Now again, to give you a bit of background, up till before this particular cost section, the ones that I have been involved in were almost always related to pregnancy in some way or other, which of course you can understand is very complicated. And however, this is one of the first few which is related to female health, but not necessarily pregnancy. So this is, of course, cancer. And I think the winning words for this application were the fact that there was the word rare and there was the word cancer. because we doing some homework and the EU, the funding, I mean, there are these missions.
So,
EU,
one of them is actually
and
cancer.
one of them is cancer. And at the same time, there's a lot of investment being done on rare diseases. So we're taking cancer, taking gardening, like which might not be so popular, but we put it there. And then the proposal came along. So basically, just to give you a bit of background about it. So although they are rare, and actually they do affect almost 9 million women every year. Why? Because if you look at all gynecological cancers, like ovarian and uterine and cervical, it's about 18.5 million women, but half of these are classified as rare. And these are 40 of these rare gynecological cancers. And basically this table actually was compiled by one of the MC members who actually wrote the WHO classification for rare gynecological cancers. And again, thanks to COST, I had the opportunity to actually be working and actually chairing, this group, who are actually the world leaders, and they actually do the classification for WHO for female genital tumors. And then, of course, when you're writing the proposal or when you, like, the key things are that it has to have impact and there has to be a significance. Now, of course, again, given my background, you want to do something to try to help something. And of course, my field is medicine, I understand. So the idea was to bring people together, experts together, who normally would be very busy working in their own world, and to get this expertise over and get it and get the network going. And so basically why? Because by having the right expertise and each in their own little word, right, or little practice, and ultimately the ones to gain are actually the women who are fortunate enough to have cancer and even more fortunate to have a rare cancer, which, by definition, they are less than 600,000 of the population. Okay. So this is going to move.
Maybe Nolene can help us.
Yes, sorry.
Do it from here, maybe.
Yes, something.
Okay.
Yes, okay. So, now another thing about this section, what we had been prepared for was the pandemic. And when I got the chairmanship of this, was actually in October 2020, which is, after the first surge of a couple of weeks, I think, of COVID. However, when we had the first MC meeting, which was online, which, by the way, we've never actually met face to face since I've been the chair. And first, the kickoff was in October 2020. We were 9 people actually, right? And derived from, I think, 8 countries. But then, thanks to the determination of these 9 MC members, together with the help from the COST office, and I think what really saved us was the introduction of the virtual networking and grants, and we managed within a year. So this is by the end of the financial year, which was by the end of October, a year later, so last year, so October 2021, and we're now over 80 members from just under 30 countries. Okay, and we've got really a good, I would say the majority of the ITC countries. And again, this is putting together people and not just medical doctors or oncologists, but even bioinformaticians, epidemiologists, and patient support groups, and putting them together in order to try to work and achieve in the direction of helping patients. And like in we have worked with the post-action unit working groups, and it is important to get the right things and to work with it. Of course, get people who volunteer. In my case, I didn't really have so many volunteers, but this was all online, and And the people were mostly all new to cost. Remember, these were coming from backgrounds where like they were busy clinicians, and not many of them were academics. So to get them to believe, to get them to start, it was very important. But we did get through. So here we've got working group leads, and go to the next slide if you want this. And for the different working groups, we can move to this as well. And in fact, first working group leader is the author of the compendium of the WHO classification of recurrent cancers. And as you will know, I mean, when you're choosing your leads, it is important that you have different countries involved, and the countries, I mean, they, of course, you need people who are established in their field, but you also ideally include people who, of course, have an interest, but might not be as established to give them the opportunity. So, for example, we've got Kleda from Albania, who is, she's a pharmacist and she works in an oncology hospital. But this was her first experience in a course. She was actually given the opportunity of working with me. And I must admit, she is probably the most active out of most, not appreciated, but most active. I mean, of course, all the others are very busy people, like we've got Olga, she's a lawyer, by the way. And again, that's the very mind-blowing thing I would say about cost, because again, coming from a field where you only meet people whether with other doctors or patients, but with cost, you get to meet people who are outside the usual network. So in this case, we people got the lawyer, and as you know, doctors and lawyers usually they're not really working together so much. We're actually working, and why? Because when one of our working groups is actually to design the legal aspects and ethical aspects of clinical trials, which of course would be international clinical trials. Yes, we can go for the next one. This is like any other cost section. So our idea is to focus on capacity building and organize training schools and organize MCs and giving opportunities even to early stage researchers or those who are not really so far have been exposed to academia. Okay, this one. And like any other cost section, you get the funding for open access publications, short and scientific missions, virtual networking. As I said, in our case, the virtual networking has what has helped us during this first year, especially because of COVID. In fact, and I'm proud to say, in fact, we can go to the next one, and we are right now in the process of getting the first two STSMs, and who are going to their system now where it's kind of calmish. But we've also managed to publish in just 1 year, and all virtual. We've managed to publish, you can go to the next slide, and we've managed to publish 9 collaborative papers. The first one, so remember, the first MC was in October. This came in October 2020. This paper came out in January of 2021. So just a few weeks. And I remember doing the submission actually on the next day, but that like couldn't go out. It was COVID, so that's where we submitted. And we've got 39 people, right? So by then, from 9 we already went up to 39 from 14 different countries. And I think that has helped the funding, of course, for this open access submissions has helped a lot to gel us more together. In fact, since then, we can go to the next one. We've got more papers, as I said, by the end of the first financial year, so October 2021, we had 9 papers, always with a lot of authors, but that's fine because that keeps people interested and gives opportunity to people who otherwise would not have been able to publish open access in high tech. So all these papers are basically more than 4 plus impact factor, between 4 and 6 impact factor. All right, next step after the action finishes. So once this action finishes, because time really flies, and as has been mentioned before, it is possible to apply for innovation grants. And Erasmus Plus projects, I've seen that happen in many other cost sections where at least the one cost section that I was involved in, there were 2 Erasmus Plus projects, which are still ongoing, even though those costs are ready. And you get contacts, as I've been mentioned, through shared PhDs, joint webinars, conferences. And we could apply for other cost section, and I am aware of 2 other cost sections where I have been involved, who then got and successfully got the second application, where the topic, of course, was slightly change of focus with different network, but still ultimately the ongoing work was to continue. And of course, if you have the right people and the right type of people, you can even start to apply for your funding. And I think we're coming towards the next slide, which is the last one.
Okay, so basically, if I might add something, part of cost, it starts the actual. When it comes to the actual networking activity, it starts to actually build your research career and research ideas. So then, this is a point in time when we see certain researchers which are part of cost actually come to the Northern Council for Science and Technology for funding,
Of course.
so that
Yes.
they can apply not only for national funds when it comes to the basic research or the applied research components, but also for the Horizon Europe funding, for example. There are added units. So we actually see this spill-on effect and the leverage that actually cost provides. So you start from the networking activity, basically joining with a very simple application process, which now you'll all see. It's a one-page application process where you explain why you would like to join cost. And from that one page, basically, you open up your field into a multitude of different opportunities. And you meet researchers, you go into STMs, you increase your data. So it's a great opportunity for you to join as well. So
Yes, in fact, and this is my last slide, and what is cost for me, and I think this applies to many other, not just leads, but many other members, that it is an emerging networking opportunity between European countries and beyond. And I said including the moon, because actually, through this course, which is on rare female cancers, right? We're actually, one of the works, virtual networks that we're doing is actually with the NASA. You might say, how old is the NASA? But basically, NASA at the moment has a lot of interest in space tourism. And of course, women will also be able to be part of the space tourism. So far, it's me, so being, yeah. So of course, one concern is the effect of radiation and microgravity on and radiation, of course, on cancer. We are aware that there is a link with many cancers, which include female-related cancers, or not just breast, and reactivation of certain viruses which can trigger, for example, cervical cancer. And in fact, it's one virtual networking that we're doing with NASA, thanks to cost. And we hope that by the end of May, actually get the paper out on rare cancers and space biology. And multidisciplinarity, again, and this would have been something which during my shifts at hospital I would have never been able to do. They would have to be hallucinating if I try to suggest that at hospital. Anyway, and multidisciplinarity, yeah. So basically, you get scientists, I mean, of course, in our field, of course, it's not medicine, but it's not just medical doctors and scientists, but even people outside of your usual network, like ethicists, lawyers, psychologists, chemists. And the important, especially, I think, when you are expanding your network, is to think out of the box. And you are given to cost the opportunity to move out of your comfort zone. And because like that, I mean, everyone is an expert in their area, but by sharing and listening and offering that network, I mean, definitely on a personal basis, but I'm sure it applies to all who are involved to really take it seriously. It is a great project. So I'm very thankful to Janet for being part of this and for some cost to support us throughout. Thank you.
okay, thank you very much. Can we do like a concluding remark or?
Okay, yes, sure. Because
maybe
we'll
we'll-
leave the Q&A for after lunch.
I'll take like not more than 5 minutes, so like a 1 minute each, like a concluding remark in relation to your activities within cost and.
Well, I think I said what I wanted to say. As our colleague here rightly said, it's a unique opportunity. I mean, I don't know exactly the audience. It says that whether we should promote the cost, I think everyone is already converted here with respect to the usefulness of cost. So, yeah, I do encourage everyone to participate in these, and I really thank Janet here to be on the forefront whenever she sees a new proposal coming out or even an approved one. And I think it's thanks to Janet that we have, I think, such a vibrant community here of participation. So thank you again.
Thank you, thanks.
Just a couple of words on the scientific committee role. As was mentioned, in participating in the scientific committee, last year I was elected to the chair of the scientific committee, and the next meeting, which will be very soon, registered. So we'll actually be in Brussels, and in May we meet twice a year. We evaluate proposals from a compliance point of view, etc. We are also involved in advising the CSO on scientific methods and making our suggestions. We were heavily involved in the Innovators Grant, which mentioned earlier. In fact, there's one open today as we started, and in fact, the four of the scientific committee then form part of the selection committee of the Innovator Grant. And in fact, with the new president of the COST, we actually have discussed expanding the role of the scientific committee. I mean, we're all in it. Participants, people who have led actions, people who work for COST, advocates, local and CSO representatives, and scientific committee. We're all for it to promote costs because really this is the value. And again, no question, if you're thinking about it, take advantage.
Okay, thank you very much. I think we shared your enough. So, like if you have like one sentence about cost, how would you say actually cost helped you in your research career? And
I think opportunities, definitely. Whether it was networking, to know people, publications, boosting your scientific career. I think that is my one word description of, besides many others of those.
that's true.
I would say fun networking as well. And that's a great opportunity even for young. I sent, like, for example, like a lot of PhD students, they take advantages, as has been said several times already. It's a nice stepping stone, and it's fun, you know, at least for me. So,
Okay, thank you very much. Thanks for participating.
Luciano, Gina, I know Jane and Charles have to leave for check, but Luciano, Melissa, and Sebastian will be with us for the afternoon, so you can ask them questions. There'll be the group sessions. So thanks very much for your interventions. So now what we'll do, is for the benefit of Veronica, who's waiting online, we're running a bit late. What we'll do is we'll have the Q&A after lunch, okay? So I'll do that now, give my brief little bit presentation. I'm going to try to do it as practical when you like, as practical as possible. Actually, because we've heard a lot about the benefits of cost, but you want to know now how to join cost, and that's what I'm going to talk about. So I've actually asked, I'll just stop, not for long, for about 10 minutes, and ask Noeline now. So what I'm going to do, Noeline, just open the website I told you. I think there's nothing more than www.cost.eu. Okay, so really practical how to join cost. I know you come, so Split, you said, which countries they come from? Poland. Cheers. I know our Polish, quite Polish, Croatia, Poland.
Malta,
Malta, Brussels, but anyway.